Alright, so if you don't already know, today is the official release date of the first 8 episodes of Sonic Prime. Yes, it's a 1 season of 24 episodes, but they're dropping the first 8 episodes in a batch, and then obviously later on we'll get the next 8, and then the final 8. Netflix does this plenty of shows, so it's like, it's technically 1 season, but it's like 1/3 of a season. That's just kind of how it works. They did that with shows like The Get Down, which, you know, they dropped after like a season. But the point is, Sonic Prime, first 8 episodes is here. And I wanted to give like my reaction and my thoughts to just watching all of it. It's about 4 hours around that I've watched, because that's how much the 8 episodes add up to. The first episode was like 40 minutes. The rest were like just over 20 minutes. So I banged it all out in one day for the Sonic, so I could give my thoughts on how I feel about this show and how I feel like it will compare to the other Sonic the Hedgehog TV shows that have already come out. And yeah, I've got a few things to say. I'm not going to rank every episode individually or anything like that, just the general feeling of watching the episodes and my thoughts on that. So I'm going to get to all this right now. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure to subscribe. We are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers and hopefully 70,000 subscribers before DLC Frontiers comes out. Speaking of Frontiers, you know, we've got the Frontiers gameplay in the background because like, I don't want the smoke when it comes to the Prime copyright. They're gonna copyright everything if you're not like meticulous with the editing and shit and covering everything up. That's why I'm not doing a regular reaction. I'm just kind of discussing how I felt about this. And how I felt about this, to give you a quick summary, is that DEVEN MACK carried. Okay, not just DEVEN MACK, but like Sonic carried. Sonic carried the show. Like without Sonic, the show wouldn't be all that. I know what you're thinking, well yeah, it's a Sonic show. Of course without Sonic, the show wouldn't be all that. But more so than usual, because with a lot of other Sonic shows, I feel like it's more of an ensemble cast. Like every character is doing their part, right? To keep like the character development going, keeping things interesting. Whereas with this show, it really feels like it's just Sonic's show. And I think a lot of that has to do with the multiple dimensions and the multiple variations of each character. It's like, you don't get to spend as much time with each character as you want, because before you know it, you're in another dimension or whatever, or part of the Shatterverse or whatever they call it, visiting a different variation of that character who's entirely different. You know, like in the pirate theme, Amy is good, but in the New York City, she's a robot who's bad. But then Tails makes her good through hacking for a bit, and then she's bad again. You know, it's like, and then we go back to the caveman shit, and then she's the monster, and it's like, okay, so it's all over the place, you know. And with Tails, you know, in the regular Green Hill, Tails is Tails, and then you go to New York City, and then he's like this strong, independent fox who don't need no hedgehog, who actually that New York City Tails is actually a really good portrayal of Tails. I like that version of Tails. It gets across some of the bitchiness that Tails has been known for recently, but still with the independence and bit more strong-willedness. I like that version of Tails. Although he said at some point that he despised whiners, and that was kind of funny, like Tails saying he despised whiners, like, your Tails, like, what the fuck, like, pot kettle. But anyway, it was pretty interesting with all the different variations of the dimensions. But because each character, or each version of each character, had so little time on the screen because there's so many different versions, Sonic became the main character and had to do most of the work. His talking, his monologue, his writing, his lines, his aura just oozes Sonic. This is the most Sonic has felt for me in a long time. I mean, obviously the movies are there as well, like, and those did feel pretty good, but in general, like, DEVEN MACK's portrayal of Sonic is so good, and the lines that he's given, like, everything he says just felt like this is how Sonic would speak. It really does give off that Ryan Drummond vibes, like that, especially like the Heroes era Drummond, where it was a bit more higher pitched and more energy like. It kind of gave me those kind of vibes. Like if they had written this around the Heroes era, I would have believed it kind of things. It was just done so well, right? And again, the show itself is not amazing, in my opinion. I think Sonic's portrayal is S tier, but the show itself is cool. It's not a bad show at all. I think my biggest issue was that I realized that I liked the New York City stuff way more than all the other worlds they were in. I mean, the regular world is fine, Green Hill, we didn't really see too much of that, but like the New York City world was like the Satyam kind of, Eggman's taken over, or sorry, the Chaos Council, all the different versions, the Gen Z version, the baby, the random, I don't know what the Doom version was supposed to be, and then you got the like regular adult Eggman who actually wasn't bold. Well, it was a toupee technically, but you had those multiple variations, and I feel like New York City was just the best portrayal of everyone. Like, you had the Rusty Rose, you had Nine, you had the Rebel, you know, Rouge and Knuckles, which was a really good thing as well. Like, I just feel like that was the best world by far. So every time they went to a different world, it just felt nowhere near as good. Like, the caveman shit was cool, but like Amy was like super OP. Like, they were sitting there scared of Amy. Really? The monster was Amy? Okay, even in New York City, like, Rusty was like OP as fuck, but at least she was like a robotically enhanced thing, so I guess it made more sense that she'd be a tougher opponent than the monster Amy in the caveman days. And then in the pirate world, Knuckles is like this captain, which is cool, but then he's like cowering in fear because of the rock or whatever, because his ship Titanic before. But yeah, I mean, it was nice that we went back to New York at some point, because once we left there the first time, I was like, are we done with that area? Because these new areas aren't as cool, you know. But at the end of the day, I just think that that was the strongest part, and I'm glad that they brought that into the pirate world, the New York thing, and the Rusty Rose came in there and she met the pirate Amy, and it was like, I'm glad that they're keeping that element, because that was the strongest world, and I don't want to see it just go and be one of the many worlds they visit. I want that to be the main world, and if we go into other worlds, then we're still continuing with that New York plot with the further episodes. I really hope it goes that way. We still got 16 more episodes in the season, so I'm really hoping that they do that. But yeah, essentially, this whole thing revolves around Sonic, right? There's so many variations of characters, and it is a Sonic show. It is focused on Sonic. If you do not like Devin Mack's portrayal, you won't enjoy the show, because it is the sole focus of the show. Every time he goes to a new world, it's like, they kind of repeat the plot a few times, like, hey, we're friends, you remember me, right? And then he's going to like Tails and Knuckles or whatnot, like, you should remember me because we knew each other in this dimension, but they don't know each other in these other dimensions, so he has to do that song and dance like multiple times, and it gets a bit repetitive, because like after you've seen it like the first time with Nine and whatnot, it's like, do you really have to do this again? We're supposed to be friends, like, we've done this. No, they don't know who you are, which is kind of an interesting point. It's like, how come there's only one Sonic, but there's multiple Tails and Knuckles and Amy's? You know, why are there no other Eggmans in the caveman world or in the, you know, Captain Pirate world? Like, why is it just the other characters? I mean, you know, it's one of those suspended disbelief kind of things, but I guess it is what it is at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, it does come together nicely. It is an enjoyable show, but I will say that the New York City stuff was the highlights, okay? But Devin Mack as Sonic, like his lines, his portrayal, that's the reason to watch the show. The action was cool. The music wasn't that good. Like, it was noticeably not good, because usually you don't think about music in like a TV show or movie until it's not that good, right? And it's so bad at times. Like, the end music, like the credits, was just really bad. I don't know how anyone could defend that. Like MIDI sounding, like, you know, obviously MIDI is not bad in itself. Like, that's a generic thing to say, but like, it just sounded so basic. A lot of the music, like, you remember like Sonic X, which is my favorite song TV show, like, they always had that and they always like integrated that, whether it was like a somber moment or an intense action moment, they always found a way to integrate that motif into the songs, and it was like dramatic. All the music felt punchy, and like even Satayam with its theme song and the orchestral stuff in the background and things like that. Even Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog with like its meme sounding music, the da na na na, it stood out. The Prime music was super generic, and it definitely holds the show back, right? Because if it wasn't for that, the show would be a lot more tolerable. Because I mean, Devin would carry. The animation was solid. I'm not an animation expert, but the CGI looked good. I feel like it was at least 2 steps above the Boom cartoon when it comes to like CGI and whatnot. Obviously, it's not like Unleashed intro or anything crazy like that, but the animation was fine. Devin Mack's portrayal was fine. I think Devin Mack was the only voice that I would guaranteed say was better than the cast we've got right now in terms of in the games, right? Maybe Amy. I did like Amy's voice. At times, I felt like she was giving off a little bit of Lisa Ortiz vibe, which is my favorite Amy, the 4Kids one. So maybe Amy as well. But mainly Sonic was like the one I was like, this is better than the main cast. Everyone else was just kind of ranging from decent to serviceable. I mean, Knuckles and Shadow's voices were a bit, but nothing completely horrible. But yeah, I'll say Devin Mack as Sonic. Devin Mack is a top 3 Mack. Okay, he's a top 3 Mack, right after Harry Mack and Craig Mack. Okay, Craig Mack only had like 1 hit. Sorry, rest in peace, Craig Mack. But in fact, he's the second best Mack. After Harry Mack is Devin Mack. I'm sorry. Okay, he did his thing. he gave Sonic the energy that he needed to make this show enjoyable. And I have to give him props for that, okay? He did a great job. And I'm looking forward to seeing the remainder of these episodes. I hope we see more of New York City. I hope we see what's going on with Shadow and his Void shit, because I don't know what's going on with that. They really kind of teased it. We didn't see much of it in these first 8 episodes, so I'm hoping that later episodes do it justice, okay? But yeah, like, his energy, Sonic just, even like, there was one point where they defeat a bunch of bandits or whatever, and Sonic runs over like, bring it in, fam, and then all the new versions of the characters that don't really know him like that are like, hey, get off. It's like, the energy was just there. Like, Sonic did his thing, okay? Sonic's portrayal is S tier. The show itself is like B, okay? That's how I feel right now. Sonic's portrayal S tier, the show B. The New York kind of thing is at least an A tier. All the other areas are like B, C tier in terms of like the dimensions, except for the Green Hill World, which we barely saw. But yeah, that's kind of my summary of it, okay? I'm not going to put it over Sonic X or anything like that, or Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog, or even Saturday M. I don't think it's in my top 3. It's probably like right after that 4th. Although the Boom cartoon is more of a comedy, so it's hard to compare comedies with the serious shit. I like the tone of Sonic Prime a lot more than the Boom cartoon, but I like lighthearted shit as well because I love Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog. At the end of the day, we'll wait for the full season to drop before I do my full ranking. But right now, I don't think it's in my top 3, but it's still a solid show. It's at least a B, maybe even an A. But Sonic's portrayal, S. Okay, I need to make that clear. Sonic's portrayal, S. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about these first 8 episodes. Are you looking forward to the rest of them? Which was your favorite episode of the top 8 or the first 8 episodes? I think mine was either the first episode or the second episode, because those were the ones that were hugely focused on the New York City. And I love the Yoke episode pun names. Okay, that was really cool. I love that. There was one more episode that was heavily focused on New York after that. But I'd say either episode 1 or 2 was my favorite. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about all of that. And of course, a big shout out to all my channel members. If you want to become a channel member, you click the join button next to the subscribe button. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Make sure to check out the non-Sonic channel. The link will be in the description. But that's all I have to say right now. So, Remy out.